Alright, we have a battle report here, a 2,500 point game between my Bretonnian army and a Vampire Count army. And I know the point's a little bit weird. This Vampire Count player has a 2,500 point list that he likes to use, and so really what I did is I took my normal list and I threw in 3 more Grail Knights and 2 6-man Knight Errant units, and came out to 2,500. So to get a feel for the board, we have on the upper right hand corner a house. There's a hill in the middle with a house on the left. On my side of the board, towards the left, you see some impassable terrain, and to the left of the screen there's some woods. And that's it. For the most part, it was just kind of an open field. I'll go through his list in the particulars in just a minute, but you can see how he's set up. He puts his big blocks of skeletons in the middle. That's Graveguard surrounded by skeletons, and then behind the house is where he has a vampire in that unit with the Crown of Commandment to really make those anvil units. And then he puts strong hammer units to the side. So he's got 9 black knights with a white king in that unit on the left, and he's got hiding by that house the Banshee unit. So like I said, more detail. There's the Banshee and the Wraiths on the side of the house. Black Coach, forgot about that thing, behind the house. Skellies with the Vampire with the Crown of Commandment. More Skellies. There's a Graveguard unit with his Lord. Very tough unit. Very killy. Some more skeletons. There's the 9 Black Knights with the White King. And then some Dire Wolves. So on my right, I put my my Grail Knights and my King over here because they have magical attacks, and they're both going to go after the Banshee unit. Ideally, I wanted my Grail Knights to go after the Banshee unit, my General to go after the Black Coach, but I'm just going to play that by ear. That small unit there on the right-hand side is actually Knights Errant. Like I said, I was digging up, beat up old models to proxy just to get up to the 2,500 point limit. So there's 6 Knights Errant, 9 Grail Knights, full command. There's my General on Pegasus, a Trebuchet, 10 Bowmen with some partially homemade defensive stakes. Another small unit of Knights Errant, even though they look like Knights of the Realm. Big unit of Knights Errant, there's 8 of them, it has my BSB. There's some Pegasus Knights. Behind them I have 21 Men-at-Arms. And I put them there so they could swing to the left or the right of that impassable terrain, depending on where I needed some help at. And I like putting them next to the impassable terrain when I move up to protect their flank. Anyway, then I have some 5 fast cav, got another 6-man unit of Knights Errant. On the other side of them, I have a block of 8 Knights of the Realm with a Damsel, 3 more Pegasus Knights, and then I have some skirmishing bowmen in those woods. And then after deployment, he's able to deploy this vampire who has the scout special rule. And I think what he normally likes to do, if he can, is put him closer to me, and then he can move up to 18 and then grow some zombies in my backyard. But because of the way the board is set up, there's really no place for him to deploy where he could be out of sight. So he had to go back into his own deployment zone. So VC turn 1, you can see he really just advances everybody. He's keeping his Black Coach out of sight of my Trebuchet because that's a pretty big concern. And you can see there he's just moving up. So goes to his magic phase. The very first spell, he takes 3 dice, needing 11 for Winds of Undeath, and he rolls a 6, a 6, and a 5. Then he rolls for all of my units. I have 13 units, and he rolled a 4 or above on 9 of the 13. And on some really killer ones. I mean, he put a wound to my Lord, he killed a Grail Knight, blah, blah, blah. So he's got a 3-man unit of Spirit Hosts, 9 wounds total. So brutal first spell of the game. And so a lot of my small units of 6 Knights are now down to 5 Knights, and I no longer have a rank bonus on all those units. So that was a bummer. So we go to Bretonnian turn 1. You can see I take my my units on the right, and I'm just trying to circle them. And I want you to look closely now at the way I have my Grail Knights positioned, and just think of just remember how I have them positioned there. Now, another thing that happened, by the way, on his turn was my damsel gets to roll a die during my opponent's magic phase, and on anything but a 1 she gets an extra dispel die, and on a 1 she takes a wound. And so I took a wound. Kind of funny. Alright, you notice, by the way, I did not charge my Knights Errant forward, and actually I just realized I forgot to take my leadership test, so it could be that I was supposed to charge forward. But I didn't. Instead I shuffled to the right to give more room for my my peasants to move up. I didn't charge because I'm not worried about them. If I charge them, I'm going to be kind of stuck out there a little bit farther than I want to be. I'm trying to hold back in the middle so my guys on either flank can win the flank and then come over and help me out. So I figure he's probably going to charge into me, and I just don't care. If he comes into that big unit, I'll have an outnumber, 2 ranks, 2 banners, a virtue of +1 combat res, and I'm going to pop him through combat res if nothing else. So that's why I didn't charge there. I did not intend to cheat and forget to take my impetuosity test. You can see in the upper left I took my my fast cav and am angling over there at his Black Knights, trying to force him to come to the left so I can get a flank charge with my 2 blocks of Knights I'm holding in reserve over there. Took my Pegasus Knights at the top and charged his Dire Wolves. I thought I had plenty of room, and it ended up I only had room for 1 guy to get into combat. And so it looked like an easy victory where I'd be able to overrun into that vampire. Turned into be barely a victory, and now my Pegasus Knights are hung out there to dry. But what my plan is if he charges my fast cav with his Black Knights, I'm going to hold with my fast cav, let him obliterate them, overrun if he wants, and if he does, he's going to run into my Pegasus Knights, but he won't fight that battle till my turn. And I'm going to do a flank charge into him with my big units down here. So didn't like what happened to the Pegasus Knight unit, but I'm okay with it. I think I'd be able to turn some good things out of that. And the great news, my fast cav shot at his Black Knights and actually killed a guy. You don't see it here, but it's beautiful. So VC turn 2, you can see he's just kind of angling his guys towards the flank, moves his Banshees up. They do their Banshee howl at my Grail Knights, and they kill 1 or 2 of them. Hate that thing. They just killed 1. Oh wait, I take that back. Maybe they didn't. I'm sorry. I think I lost that 1 from the Wind of Undeath. Anyway. So his Black Knights charge my fast cav, and they fail their fear test using the Pegasus Knights leadership. So now what happens is his Black Knights go into the flank of the Pegasus Knights, and they're going to obliterate me this turn and be able to overrun and might be able to get out of the charge arc of my Knights that I was setting up the flank attack for. So that was frustrating. Oh, here we go. Here's that stupid Banshee howl that killed two Grail Knights on this turn. Yeah, I think he did that howl 3 times this game. He rolled a 10, 11, or 12 when he did it. So predictably, he wipes out my Pegasus Knights, kills 2 of them outright in that combat, had an auto break, and he rolled pretty high, and so he is out of the charge reach of my waiting unit of Knights of the Realm. So this is just showing you what happened. He took his Spirit Hosts and charged into the front of my BSB unit. They didn't wound me. I think I did 1 wound on them, and then I just had tons of combat res, and so that thing's down to 1 wound. So that's what I thought would happen, and I'm great with that. So brutal. Turn 2, I take my general on the Pegasus, and I declare a charge into his Banshee unit. He does the howl as a stand and shoot reaction, and we allocate hits between my general and the Pegasus, and it kills my general before he even gets in combat. And then they just kill my Pegasus in combat. So yeah, my general's leadership 9, so he needed a 7 or less, and they did, I think, 5 wounds, and 2 were allocated to my Pegasus, and 2 were allocated to my Lord, and the Lord already had 1 wound because of the Wind of Undeath. So anyway, sorry about all that, but killed my general there. And that's my turn. So on his turn, his Banshee unit's going to be free to charge my Grail Knights. So another look at turn 2. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can just see I didn't do anything. Again, I'm waiting for my flanking units to come to help the middle ones. On the left, I took all 3 of those units and declared charges on his vampire, because I figured at least one of them would fail their fear test of the leftmost units, and they all made it. All the Pegasus Knights couldn't fit into combat. My Pegasus Knight over here, who got broken in combat, failed his rally test and ran off the board.